Hi everyone, welcome back to No Sugar with Everything Krause. It's a giggly morning.
I'm literally beet red. I'm beet red in the face because I can't stop giggling.
Yeah, and it's like that lighting that you got going on. And I look vampire-esque over here.
Yeah, Kateri looks like she hasn't been in the sun in a year.
No,
I
like
look
literally, like I don't look like this in person right now. It's just
I
this
look
lighting.
like I'm from Ireland and I just baked in the sun all day.
Yeah. I feel like this white shirt is like bringing out bad hues on me, like white.
I don't know.
Stark...
You don't look like that white though.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just more on me, but whatever. We're a little giggly today. We've had a crazy morning. We went on a run together, which was a really great run, honestly. We had a good run. And then we got home, showered, did all that shebang. We're like, breakfast time. Started eating our breakfast. And at the same time, we both just looked at each other and we're like, ew.
Like, it literally... like,
my God, please. I cannot think about eggs anymore.
Yeah, so Kateri and I have basically been eating eggs and chicken sausage, I think, I got home from abroad and maybe started that breakfast a week later and I have not stopped since.
Yeah, like the chicken sausage.
Other than like maybe a Kate May intermission and then...
Yeah, or like a different variety of the eggs, like the feta egg, or when we used to do like the hash with it. Like it was some sort of egg with this chicken sausage. And I just think I have hit my breaking point with it of like being like, okay, I cannot eat this another day. And the eggs today, oh my God.
Oh my God, the eggs.
Also though, the egg on my sandwich at brunch on Saturday.
Oh
my
God. Really?
Stop.
Wait, you didn't say a word.
Oh my God. Stop it. I cannot think about that.
I didn't even ask you if you enjoyed your food. I feel like we were there talking. We didn't even eat.
No, we didn't. Dad like loved his food. I think Mom enjoyed. And then we like got in the car and I was like to Mom, I'm like, yeah. It wasn't that first of all, this can go in as a part of the recap. I had a wedding on Friday night and I didn't really drink. Like I stopped drinking pretty early into the night just because like, I don't know. I was like I'm not getting like that tipsy feeling I want to feel. I don't really know what to drink. I'm not liking anything I'm drinking. So I'm just going to stop, whatever. But I had to get up very early on Saturday morning to drive to your graduation. So I feel like I was literally sleep deprived and just like sleep hungover. Like that's how I felt. So like, you know, sometimes when you're just not feeling right, like no food sounds appetizing. That's how I felt at brunch. Like that menu, I was like, none of this literally sounds appetizing to me. The appetizers we got were amazing. Like I thought those were all delicious. But then when it came time to like the meal, I was like, none of this sounds good.
Oh,
so that's such a shame. I did enjoy what I ate of my food, but like the egg, it's just eggs these days. I have the egg ick.
I do too, though. Like I'm done with eggs. No, after this morning, no,
like I can't have.
We were literally, guys, we were forcing the eggs down this morning. It was like I've never had to do that before in my life.
But then like I don't know what else to have because I feel like eggs for breakfast are such an easy way to get good protein in. Like I've upped it to 3 eggs in the morning.
They're satiating, like they definitely and I'm just like my stomach.
Like normally especially since I upped it to 3 eggs, I feel like I just would be satiated and like full almost until like 2 or 3 o'clock. I honestly even longer, but I'm like I want to get more protein, so like I'll eat a lunch that has more protein.
Yeah,
but I don't know what else to really eat besides.
I know.
That's why I feel like I've stayed with it because I don't know what else to eat.
I feel like I'm just slowly becoming not really a breakfast person.
I know, but it's so important.
It's so important. And I'm a massive breakfast person. Like in the past, like I don't go without it, but I've recognized like in spring term, like I've missed a lot of breakfast this term. And I used to be like every single day, I'd never miss breakfast. I couldn't. My stomach was like crying for it. And now I think it's because of the ick of the eggs. I don't know. It's also starting to become summer and I feel like the warm eggs in the morning are just not what I want. Like just how I don't want a warm coffee, I don't want warm eggs. I want like fresh fruit, something really refreshing. So I also think that's playing a part in it. But
no, true. That's a good point.
It was comical this morning though, looking at Kateri.
No, and then we like had the food in front of us and I am not one to waste food. And I'm like,
no.
yeah, is also like, well, we have to eat it. And I'm like, go get the salt. I need to just like smother this in salt. Like I cannot taste what the actual food is. And I was just shoveling it in like both of us. It took us a while. Like I've never eaten breakfast for that long.
Ever. It was 45 minutes.
Yeah. So
It
just
gross.
was
We didn't even
interesting.
make our coffees. Like it
No, like
literally ruined.
I needed like nothing in my system right now. Just don't feel right.
Now I want a coffee.
I know. Or like a piece of like chocolate sourdough.
Yeah, like we should have just had chocolate sourdough off
Like
the bat.
that just would have been good with like a
Butter.
smoothie like on
Yeah,
later. Just like made a smoothie with protein powder to like get the protein in.
Yeah, an
But
ice cold smoothie because
I honestly forgot that no, literally, I forgot that we had the chocolate sourdough until like everything was already in process. Okay, I think we can stop talking about that disgusting breakfast. Like I'm gonna
I gotta
actually,
stop gagging because I'm actually
I know, and like everyone listening, like I'm so sorry. It's just
no, but
that
it's
is
hysterical because that's
seriously
exactly.
how I feel. Like I looked at Isabel, I'm not gonna do it, but I was like gagging at the freaking plate in front of us. I literally need to move on. Like I'm not okay thinking
Yeah,
about
okay,
it.
we'll move on. We'll move on.
Anyway, we had kind of a crazy weekend of just a lot going on, I feel like, this past weekend. And it kind of led us to this episode of being like, we need to do maybe just like a little like life update, almost kind of like catch you guys up to like where we are at this point, like why that
Yeah.
weekend was so busy, and just like
Where
talk
our
about
mindset
it.
is, like our headspace,
Yeah.
we're going through we're starting summer again. Of course, we have like new feelings and kind of just want to I like giving you guys that life update because I feel like it lets you know where our head is and kind of how we're going to approach new obstacles ahead.
Yeah, and just like so listeners kind of know like where like we are. It's always I always like assume everyone just knows like, oh, I've graduated, oh, I'm this year's old, and like but not everyone knows that information. Yeah. So before we get into this episode, I just want to quickly pop on, plug ourselves a little bit. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, click that like button, subscribe to our channel if you have not already, and share this episode or any of our past episodes with a friend, maybe someone. If you listen to it and you feel inspired, like, oh, they could benefit from it, just share the no sugar word with more people so we can build a bigger community. We appreciate you guys so much, and we appreciate all your feedback, all your love and support, and just wanted to give that little plug for ourselves before we get into the episode. So yeah, let's just kind of get into this past weekend. So starting off on my end, and then we'll go into, I had my boyfriend's sister's wedding this past weekend. So that started on Thursday because that was the welcome party. And then Friday was the wedding. So that was just like an event in itself. Obviously, it's his sister's wedding too. So it's like a big deal. It's not just like a family member. It's like an important person in the family. So we had that. I went on Thursday. Friday was the wedding. And then my birthday was on Friday. So that was just a whole nother element to obviously like the day and the weekend.
25.
I know. So I turned 25 years old, which is, I don't know, like I feels like a good age. Like I'm good with that age. I don't feel like any way about it. I don't think it is kind of weird thinking like I'm 5 years away from 30.
Yeah. But also think about like sorry to interrupt, but I just think like you're 5 years away from 30, but think about you're also 5 years from 20. Don't you feel like 20 was so long ago?
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
know.
like, oh my God, like 5 more years until 30. That's going to be so much is going to happen
Like
between
so
now
I
and
know.
then.
But then that even like thinking about it in that sense of like how much happened to me from 20 to 25, like all the different things that you do in life.
Yeah.
Like what the heck is going to happen these next 5 years? Like God
It's going to be
willing.
the happiest years. It's
No,
gonna
I
be,
know. Like God
engagement,
willing, I'm
like-
going to be married. I'm maybe going to have a kid. Maybe I'll be pregnant. Like who knows? Like 30, I feel like
That's great.
I know. Like, and I know that's who knows what can happen, but kind of the path that I'm on is like leading to those things. You know what I mean?
definitely.
Like I'm in that phase of life, and it's just so, especially even going to all these weddings, I'm like, this is weird because I feel like I've been going to so many weddings because now I'm like approaching that age when it's just like people are getting married. All of a sudden it's going to be everyone I know and their mother getting freaking pregnant. Like
I know.
it's wild. So that was a busy weekend just in those 2 days in itself for me. And
How was your birthday? I know it
birthday-
was like the wedding day, but how was it?
Yeah, it was honestly, I still had like an amazing day, and
Good.
I do love Tyler and his family. So like they made it very special for me, which I just thought was so nice. Like Marissa, I feel like is his sister. I feel like truly put in an effort for me, even though it was her wedding day. Like there's so much to
Yeah.
worry about on your wedding day and like think about. And I feel like she just
Well,
like
that's so selfless.
yeah, like
to
she made it a
show like
point
some
to like
attention to you
yeah.
on her special day, where like the attention is supposed to be all on her.
Exactly. So I just felt very loved in that moment. And I feel like that was just that, that's something I can truly appreciate. Like, just,
Yeah.
I recognize effort from people. And yeah, so I still had an amazing day. And honestly, it was like fun. It was like, who doesn't want to have a nice big party for their wedding? I mean, for their birthday. Like,
exactly. I was like seizing a bit that I wasn't with you.
yeah, that was hard for me. Like, obviously, I knew her wedding date. Like when they first booked it, I remember when she told me, I was like, oh my God, that's my birthday, like whatever. And like my immediate thought was just like, damn, that means I'm not going to be with any of my family members on my
Yeah.
birthday. And like that was kind of a hard pill for me to swallow.
We're so
But
funny. Like if
I
we are
know,
not like it's like God forbid we spend our birthdays with not a family
I know.
member.
And I'm like, it really is just another day. Like I can still celebrate my birthday with my family and they'll still make me feel special. Like I don't need to be with them on the very day. It was also like a weekday. So like mom would have been at work. Like the boys
Yeah.
are, it's not like the whole world stops. But I think because I wasn't going to be with any of you in person that day, it hit me a little bit harder this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, it was still, I feel like Tyler and his family, like everyone made it very special.
Good.
And
happy to hear.
it was like I've never like spent the entire day with Tyler on my birthday. So I was like, oh, this was a new thing too. Like that was fun.
Yeah.
So it was still really, really
True.
good.
It's not like you were like at like something you don't want to do. Like at least you were with your boyfriend.
Yeah. And like it was his whole family. It wasn't like
Yeah.
this random wedding,
Yeah.
like I feel like I knew a lot of people there.
Good.
And then Evan and Taylor were there too because they know Marissa. So it was like, okay, I did have some family there.
Yeah.
And then on Saturday morning, as I kind of prefaced, I woke up super early and drove to Isabelle's business school graduation. So like her specific major. And then that can kind of lead us into the rest of this episode. But
Which I'm so grateful for, by the way.
Yeah.
Because what time did you get up?
well, my alarm was set for 6, and then I guess I rolled over and snoozed that thing because next thing I know, I shoot up out of bed and it's 6:45, and I was like, oh my God, I gotta get ready. Like I have to leave because I was like, I have to leave by 7. And also I was calculating in my mind, like we stayed in Atlantic City in one of those like we stayed in the Borgata, which is like a giant hotel. So to get to the parking garage, you have to come down, walk through the whole lobby, like go on the elevator, get to the parking garage. It's not an easy thing. So I knew that there would be minutes calculated in there as well. I had to pay for parking when I left. So I was just like calculating in my mind.
Yeah.
It wasn't like an easy like get in your car and go. I knew that there would be steps to leaving. And then I was like, how am I going to find parking in Philly? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It ended up working out fine. I did my makeup like in the car. I was hitting some traffic in Philly, which was perfect because I was stopped for a while. So I would like open my mirror and like do some makeup. And yeah, that led into
Wow,
graduation
you made
day.
it.
Yeah.
You made it just on time too.
Oh my God, literally, you guys were walking up as they were walking.
You like actually beat us there, the graduate there. So yes, the other busy aspect of the weekend, as you've been saying, was my graduation. OMG. I just have a lot of thoughts that I feel like I'm going to give you like a rundown of the weekend very briefly, but I also have some thoughts I want to share just because I feel like, I don't know, I've been talking to Kateri about it, so I'll share them with you guys. So Friday night so all week stuff was going on for the seniors in general. Like one of my best friends, Anaya, she's in graphic design. So like she had her graphic design showcase. So since I'm in the business school, all of my senior projects were done in class. So like I did all those final presentations before that week, which was really nice because I didn't have anything. So I was just like going to all of my like artistic friends, like little shows that they had, which was really fun. So that was on Thursday, and Anaya's senior showcase design show, which was so fun. She did amazing. I like loved seeing all of her work because I've lived with her for 4 years, so I've seen the projects that she like did over the 4 years. And then
And
Friday,
how like much effort she puts into all of them,
like
you know?
I literally was like, oh my God, I know how long this took, a whole term to do this one project, and it's just on a poster now. Like you guys have no idea what's going on. So that was cool to see it for her. And like she got her business cards and website up as a graphic designer, which is just a massive milestone.
Her website
Friday.
was amazing.
Yeah.
Literally so cool.
Friday. Yeah, everyone go check out her website. I think it's anayakathari.net. Anayakathari.net. If not, but you should all go look at it if you need a graphic designer. She is the best in the biz. Mark my words. Anyway, so then Friday was the main ceremony. So for like all of Drexel students to walk, that's at Citizens Bank Park, which is so fun. I feel like it was miserable weather. It like started raining as soon as we started walking out. So what the graduates do is you like walk out on the field and you like get to walk around like the diamond and then sit in your like they just like sit you in your seats and there's a main stage. So you don't walk across stage at this ceremony or anything, but it's just like a fun like everyone's really really drunk and really fucked up, and then you go to Xfinity after, which is like the big bar. If any of you are familiar with the location of Philadelphia, the big bar right next to it, and you're basically at Xfinity all night with like everyone's families. It's just like all of Drexel is at Xfinity.
Yeah.
So that was an absolute blast because the ceremony was pretty miserable. Like I said, raining. Like it was so but I just completely embraced it and I had a blast like walking out on that onto that field and being on the big screen. I literally was grabbing the camera guy at one point. At one point he like turned the camera away from me and I literally grabbed the front of the lens, like the square, and cupped it and was like no, and I like whipped it back to me and I was like put the camera on me. It was actually like really unhinged me. I was just so wired. I was like but everyone said to me, they're like, Isabelle, you must have been on that screen 25 times. Like, all I saw was you.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
I was waving my stole, like, up in the air, trying to get his attention. So I just had a blast and didn't let the weather get me down. And then my family went over to Xfinity with me, which was kind of crazy because you guys know we're not big drinkers. So they didn't partake in the drinking. I did. I actually think I only had 2 drinks the night of graduation. I thought I was going to be, like, really, really drunk, but I was just having such a fun time socializing sober that I was like, I don't even need alcohol right now. Like I haven't seen so many of these people in so long. Like this is so fun. So my family stayed for about like an hour with me and then I kind of like sent them on their way because I just wanted to have fun with like the Drexel kids. And we had a whole night. We ended up going to Morgan's Pier and it was just honestly an absolute blast. I feel like I saw so many people that I haven't seen since like freshman year and had like in-depth conversations with them.
Yeah, that's like the crazy part about graduation weekend is really seeing like all the people like from the beginning, and it's like whoa, like I haven't seen you in so long and I probably won't see you ever again, but like you were a part of my college. You were a part of
my chapter, so it was like so nice. It felt like so full circle seeing them all there, and that's why I really did like that event. It wasn't even like the fun aspect of drinking and like getting really fucked up. It was just like seeing everyone.
Yeah.
So that was great. However, the reason I was also conscious of my alcohol intake was because 9 a.m. Saturday morning was my business school graduation. All of my friends were at 1 p.m. Mine was at 9 a.m. So I needed to get up. I needed to be there at 8. I got there at 8:45. So I pushed the limit there. And I also needed to pick up my tickets, which was hysterical, but whatever. We made it.
Yeah, no, I feel like you did not need to be there as like
earlier.
Like
I'm happy I got there literally.
Like maybe you would have walked across the stage earlier, but like at that point, like we were there anyway.
Yeah,
so
like I didn't really care.
Yeah, I feel like it all worked out perfectly.
So yeah, so that was good because I honestly like was there for 15 minutes before I even got to walk. So it was like a really quick morning for me.
Yeah.
And I sat there at the business school graduation, which I loved. I loved walking across stage. It was just a fun moment.
No, it was.
I feel like I'm like going so in depth of like the ceremony, and that's not what I want to like talk about. So I'm like, wait, why am I telling you all the details?
Yeah. Well, I do think it was like really. It was just one of the ceremony, and it was.
Okay. Wait. Yeah. Maybe
it was like a cool experience. I don't know. Like, obviously, I've graduated before. I've been to graduations, but. It was just cool seeing like all the business students. Like you get to see the people who are like getting their master's, their PhD, the undergraduates. Like it really is. And I know because I was in your shoes a couple years ago, like seeing all those people around you, it just really is a full circle moment. And like I know so many people graduate, so many people do it. And like, yes, you're the youngest sibling, so we've been down this road before, but it's still such a big moment because it's such a big part of life. Like I remember just being young, always thinking about like, oh, college. Like we saw our older cousins go to college and go through. And I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to be in college. And then next thing you know, you're graduating. You're doing the thing that like we looked up to for so long.
Literally. Like that's what was so weird is I feel like I went to all of your graduations and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to be graduating college one day. I'm going to be so old at that age.
Yeah.
Like now here I am.
You think like, I just remember like Brittany's graduation even. Like we were so young and I was like, wow, Brittany is old. And now that like you're at that age, I'm like, you're literally so young.
I'm a baby.
It's so funny the perspective on age. Obviously, as you get older, as that perspective changes, because you really realize like what it's like to be a 22-year-old. It's not like the oldest person in the world. But yeah, so I thought it was a great ceremony on Saturday morning.
And I also loved our commencement speaker. We
Mm-hmm.
had she was the CFO and vice president of the NFL, which I thought was really cool, but regardless of her title, her message was just unbelievably amazing. Like it
Yeah.
basically was like you can do anything you put your mind to, is you just have to do the hard work. And like as
Mm-hmm.
long as you do the hard stuff, like the reward will be on the other side,
Yeah.
which is our mentality. So I felt like it just really spoke to me. I literally listened to every single word that
Mm-hmm.
she said. And also going off of what you just said, now like kind of going into my feelings about graduation was I feel like my whole life I've approached like college graduation, like my 4 years as like, oh, everyone does it. Like what you just said, like everyone's graduating. I'm
Mm-hmm.
graduating alongside like 10,000 other students right now at one university. Like everyone's graduating this year. It's not that awesome. It's not that big of a deal. Like that's kind of always been my mindset. And I don't really mean it in a negative way. It's kind of just like, I'm not going to pat myself on the back for something that everyone's doing right now. Like
Yeah.
it's not like that amazing. But I will say that like actually sitting there in the seats for the business school graduation, like in that exact moment, I kind of like reflected on that thought that I had been having and was like, you know what? Yes, everyone's doing it, but this is like, what am I really celebrating here? It's not that I like did college. It's like those sleepless nights in college that I stayed up all night writing papers, that I worked so hard to figure out the Excel problems, like the moments that I cried when I had a random roommate my sophomore year. Like I'm celebrating all of those times that have really made me who I am. And that's when I,
Mm-hmm.
like, so that's why I love that graduation so much, because it was such a personal reflection moment where I was like, wow, I'm not celebrating the academic experience I just had. I'm celebrating who I've become in the past
Mm-hmm.
4 years. And to me,
Exactly.
that was like such a beautiful moment, because I feel like my past 4 years, like, I don't know, I just feel like I've really changed over the past 4 years. And I know everyone grows, and everyone, starting at 18 to 22, you're going to be a lot different of a person. But reflecting on my past 4 years and who I was when I started at Drexel compared to who I am now, I'm literally a completely different person. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know who I was when I started, I feel like.
Well, I feel like that's a really like good thing that you did too, was that self-reflection. And even if people listening, like say you've already graduated, you can kind of still do that. Like use that time to like look back, because a lot does happen in 4 years. Exactly like we were saying, in the
Mm-hmm.
5 years between 20 and 25 for me, like those 4 years of college, like that was those 5 years, four of them were college, right? So it's
Yeah.
like so much does happen, and being able to look back on all like the little moments and just be like happy and proud of all of them, even if there were some rough ones in there. Like everything led you to the finish line and you made it. You know what I mean? It's like
Mm-hmm.
that saying, like, yes, you made it. It's because sometimes you probably didn't. You maybe were like freaking out about classes. Like I remember in college, I wasn't like this straight A student, and I struggled in a lot of my classes, and I would bawl my eyes out. I would call Joseph and be like, we had this like crazy math. It was like the EMPO. It was called the EMPO, and you would go and take these
Oh,
insane math classes or the quizzes. And I kept failing and failing, and I would just call Joseph and be like, I'm literally not going to be able to graduate because I'm not going to pass these exams, these
mm-hmm.
quizzes, whatever. And it's like you said, you on graduation day, you look back on those like sleepless, those tears, like all of that stuff, and it sounds so silly, but like, yeah, you made it. You did what you
You
thought in those
did.
moments
Yeah.
you weren't going to be able to do. Like you did
Yeah.
get through it. You finished every year, you finish strong, and then like you get to that finish line. So yes, a lot of people do it, but it is such an awesome feeling, and it's such a good time, I feel like, for people to like really grow into a good foundation for yourself. Like obviously you're still going to change so much after college. I've changed so much after college, but I feel like college is the first time that you are independent. Like you have to make
Mm-hmm.
decisions on your own. You're living like on your own. You don't have your family. Yes, you were close to home, but you're still away from home. You know, you're out of the
Yeah.
home. And it sets a good foundation for you like going into the real world now,
It
right?
really
Like
does. Yeah.
now you have a really strong foundation of like who you are. You're going to change in the next year, you're going to change in the next 5 years, but who you are now is like a great fresh starting point for this next
Exactly.
chapter of your life.
And I can like handle the punches and like handle my business a lot more efficiently and like well now. I don't know. I feel like I can't imagine like doing the stuff that I do now as a freshman. It's so crazy to like see the growth. I'm like, no, like I can actually
Exactly.
like go live my life now. One thing that I was consistently asked. So like
Wait,
as
wait.
we
I
were
was just like massaging my jaw as you started. I'm like cracking up. If anyone saw me massaging my jaw, it just got like really tight for some reason. So.
That's
Okay,
weird,
sis.
Kateri.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just all this talking. I
All
know I
this
did like a lot of
shit,
talking this
all
weekend
this
too.
smiling
So
ear to ear.
no, literally. Okay, sorry to cut you off. I just like had to address the fact that I was
No.
massaging my jaw on screen.
Yeah, I'm happy you did for all of our viewers who were wondering.
Yeah.
But I think one of the most common asked questions, like leading up to graduation, within the month of graduation and like the week of, especially from like parents, but also undergrad, like the undergrad students that weren't graduating yet, what they asked me a lot was like, I had two big questions, and it was like, what's next? What's next for you? And are you scared to graduate? Those were the two questions that I was getting. And when I answered them in that month, so like say 3 weeks ago, here are my answers. What's next? Life. Life is next. I can finally start building the life I've always dreamed of. And am I scared to graduate? I'll never forget, this kid asked me that, and I looked him dead in the eye, and it was like one of my quickest answers. And I said, I'm not scared at all. I can't wait to fulfill my potential. Like I literally was just like, that was where my head was. I was just so focused on like the future, and I didn't really have any of that emotional like sad feeling about graduating. I was ready. I was really ready to just get out of there and like start my path. And I will say that that's a good mind space, like the headspace to have. And that really is my headspace on moving forward. But I will say the week of graduation, I feel like it really is so busy, and it kind of hits you. So I just want to talk about it, because although I had that headspace, I really got clouded during the graduation week because we were so busy, and it started to become so real that I got so wrapped up in the graduation and like kind of like the sad feeling about it, that I started to get really stressed and anxious. Like yesterday, the Sunday, I was super anxious about like my future all of a sudden, because I had just felt like being with everyone and like hearing everyone be like, you did it, like, oh my god, you're done, like life is starting, like just all of these conversations of like saying bye to people, and like thinking, seeing these kids I met freshman year, being like, wow, I'm never gonna see you again. Like it just made it feel so real, and really brought up the emotional side of it, of like, wow, this really is the end of a chapter. And yeah, I just wanted to share that, because I feel like I put on such a face of like, oh, I can't wait for life, and like I'm not a college girl, and I've never have been. But I wanted to give you guys the real side of like, I was emotional. I am sad to be leaving Drexel, and I don't know, I could do, and I don't know. I don't even know how I feel. I'm really sad to be leaving it, because I owe it so much of who I am that I like want to keep growing there. But my best friend Luke said it to me best. He was like, Isabelle, the reason people get sad at graduation is because they think their life is over. They think that this was their life and they graduated, and now it's like the dreary corporate work world. Like, yes, their life is not over, but like this fun life that they once had, they'll never have it again. He was like, that's not what it is for us. Like this marks the start of that for us. If anything, this marks the rest of our lives that we have been waiting for all 4 years. And he kind of just like gave me that reminder, and it helped me bring me out of that sadness, because I was like, yeah, like we're celebrating a chapter closing but a new one starting. And I needed to hear that to kind of be brought back to center about it, because I did start getting anxious about, my jobs and working, and like what am I going to be doing, and it kind of took away the vision and the sight I had of all like my goals. Like I was like, oh my god, like I'm supposed to be getting a job right now, and like I've never
Yeah.
been that way. I've never thought about that. I've never been stressed about that. So sorry for like that ramble, but I feel like there were so many emotions that came on grad week that were really unexpected for me.
Yeah.
And dealing with them was like a big ripple in my week, but I ultimately, at the end of the day, I think I really embraced the experience. And that's what mom said. Mom said she could tell. She was like, you embraced graduation, although you didn't like want to partake in it. You really embraced the ceremony. Like you had so much fun, and you lived it up those like Friday night into Saturday morning. Like you totally were like appreciating that you were a Drexel graduate. And I was like, okay, good, because I wanted to take it in before I move on, and like life keeps going so quickly.
Yeah. I can attest that I do feel like you really did embrace the graduation, which is amazing, because it goes by so quick. But I do feel like you stayed very present. And even though it might feel like it was all over the place and chaotic that whole week, like I feel like from my perspective, you did stay very present in those moments. And all the different array of emotions, I feel like is so normal, because a big change is happening. Like you and that in any situation in life, when a big change is happening, it can create a lot of different emotions: anxiety, stress, nerves, excitement, happiness, worry. Like all different emotions can come from change. And when you're in college, you know, your 4 years, yes, you might move around to different apartments, you begin new classes, you meet new people, your routines change, but like it's still somewhat the same because
It's
you're
like the
in
same year.
college.
It's the same
Yeah, like you're
same
still gonna have
blueprint.
classes every day. You're still gonna have schoolwork to do. You're still gonna work out at the Drexel gym. Like so many different things, but they kind of stay consistent throughout the year. So then at the end of those 4 years, it's like, oh, well, now it's like a big adjustment because I'm not gonna have, well, in like my case, like I'm not gonna have classes next year. So like, what is my day to day gonna look like? Oh, I'm gonna be in a job. What is that job gonna be? Or you know, at my point, I did know my job, and I'm like, am I gonna like that job? Like, what is my role there? Like, all these different things. So it's just very normal to feel those emotions. And I think even addressing them and just admitting to the fact that, like, yeah, I was feeling like a some type of way at the end
Yeah.
of graduation because that's just the reality of it. And like allowing those thoughts and emotions to come in is a good thing.
Yeah.
And then turning to like what Luke said and bringing yourself back down to like feeling excited. Okay, good. But don't forget that like you still have to adjust. You're still going to have to learn different things and change your routine a little bit and get into it. And it'll take time. But just like you settled in freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year, you're going to settle in to this next chapter
Yeah.
pretty quickly. Like
And
it'll
like
come quick.
I know, and the best part about that is that I think of freshman year, and like you just gave that example, like you had to settle in freshman year. I was a mess freshman year when I moved in. I was sick to my stomach for the entire first week of living in my apartment. I literally, like Kateri knows, I was like not okay.
Yeah.
And which is so typical of me. Like, guys, I'm such a homebody. Of course I was
Yeah, me
homesick.
too.
Like,
I didn't
you all
talk
should
to
know that.
I didn't talk to
Yeah.
a single person in my family for the first 3 weeks of college because every time mom called me, I bawled my eyes out. So I
Yeah,
wouldn't
like,
text.
Literally,
Like
we couldn't
literally.
talk to her.
Yeah.
So freshman year, I did have to settle in, and that was so hard for me. And to think of myself freshman year in that moment, I had no idea what was about to come the next 4 years. And now here I am being like, that was so fun. Like, I literally am so sad to leave it. Same thing right now. Like, I have no idea what the next years are going to be. And I should use my college experience as like a guide to be like, wow, like the next 4 years could be unbelievable. They will be
Exactly.
unbelievable. The rest of my life is going to be unbelievable. So I'm like, I kind of have that headspace now. And that's why I wanted to share that with you guys, because if you remember back in our episode, I think we touched on like post grad life in one of our episodes. We did an episode on that. You talked about it and I talked about like my feelings. I was pretty stellar in that episode. I was like, I'm not scared. I'm ready. Like, I'm super,
Yeah.
super ready. And I wanted to bring the attention to the fact that I didn't feel that way this week. And that's
Yeah.
totally okay. And you're going to be going through a mix of emotions when it's finally your time to walk across that stage. And it's kind of a part of the graduation process. Like, that's what it is being a graduate. That's why they kind of give you a weekend celebrating you to kind of take away maybe the sadness of it too.
Yeah, I know. But in overall, I do feel like it's just such a like it's a monumental moment that I feel like can when you look back on like okay, like 5 years from now, you look back on like maybe where the moment was that like things started changing and it's like you can kind of use graduation like okay because you ended college and that was maybe the start of like something big for you, who knows, or
Yeah.
like after then I just always think about like oh after when I graduated like I had a job and then 2 months later I was moving to Naples. Like
Yeah.
who knew that that was gonna happen, right? Like I had no idea. Graduating college, I didn't even think about Florida. Like the state of Florida was not in my
Literally.
mind. Next thing I know, like it's in my mind and I'm moving there and then I'm living
Yeah.
there for a year. Like just so many things can happen and then all of a sudden I'm home. Like
Yeah.
so much happens in that time, but it also at the same time doesn't feel like a lot of time.
I think that's what I want to say. Like, just going off that criteria, I recognize like the most exciting thing about post grad is that for the first time in your life, you are on no one else's schedule. Like, of course, yes, if you're working a 9 to 5, of course but like until you start that job, like I am on no one else's schedule right now. I don't have anyone telling me where to be at any other time or like how to live or like kind of, I don't know, grading me, like just all those feelings. Like, there's so much that I can do and so many different paths I can take. And that's just the excitement of it all. Is like the uncertainty should really excite you because it's not going to be as boring and basic as college was.
So if you're a college grad that graduated either in May or in June or you are graduating eventually, just use this as like a good thing to hold on to of being like this is the beginning of a good thing and I'm allowed to feel these emotions, but and it's normal to feel the emotions, but like there are good things coming. I just feel like holding on to something positive is good in moments like this, in moments of change, just focusing on the good.
Yeah.
And even if like you have been graduated and you're listening to this, you know, it can all, even hearing you talk, it just makes me a little like even more grateful for everything that I've been through in the past 4 years and for what's to come in my life, you know. And I didn't just graduate, but hearing someone from your perspective at your age saying it, it just reminds me to, you know, get excited and be excited because I am still young and I do still have so much of life ahead of me. So it's the same thing for me. Like those emotions do kind of help me even see it in that way.
I love
which I feel like which is good. Another really random thing that I just thought about, I used to always say to our Nana, she has passed away, but
Aww.
I used to always say to Nana, if I get married at 25, Nana, you'll only be 95. It'll be perfect. And now I'm 25. Not married. Not married, Nana. But literally, like,
yeah, but if Nana was here, you could be. I feel like you'd be like, put a ring on my finger, Tyler.
No, like literally, we have to get married so my Nana can be there. Like, I told her I had to get married by 25. Like, it was just always so funny.
That's weird.
I know, right?
Because
like,
if you guys knew our Nana, like thinking of that, I'm like, wow, Kateri, we thought that was so far at that age. We were like, when you're 25.
Literally, I'm like, all I have to do is be married by 25, Nana. She's like, oh, geez, Kateri.
Like, no, sorry.
It's so funny. I just
Zoe.
like thought about that. I know. If you hear any dogs barking.
I kind of have like a piece of advice for the undergrads that are like still going through school, because I know that we have a lot of Drexel listeners, Drexel juniors right now that are going on to their senior year next year and will be graduating next year. So for those of you who are listening, almost congratulations for you guys. I'm so excited for you to embark on this journey of your final year. But my one key advice for you is to really stay present. And I know that is so baseline, but what I mean is like every day, every exam that you're taking, every hour of studying, don't rush it. Just stay present, like call out what you're feeling, look around you and take in like what you're feeling and what you're seeing at those exact moments, because it'll make the days feel like you really lived them. And then at the end of the year, I think you'll really have felt like, wow, I took in my senior year. I took in my last moments at the gym, my last moments in this school building. Like I felt like I really stayed present in my spring term, and now when I'm leaving, I feel very ready. Like I'm like, yeah, I got all my last. I took it in and I'm ready to like close this chapter and move on. I wouldn't want to be here another year. So I just want you guys to do that, because I didn't realize that until spring term. So I want you guys to start that at fall term and really just stay present and have fun, because this is the last time in your life that you really are going to be a kid and like don't have that much responsibility. So go out on that Monday night, go out on the Tuesday, turn in your paper an hour late, whatever you have to do. Just like enjoy the year. You'll walk across the stage at the end of the year. I promise you.
Exactly. I like that little last piece of advice. So that was just like our little life update for you. We have a 25-year-old and a college graduate here speaking with you. So big things happening, and I'm just very excited for the next chapter for my life, for your life, Isabelle. And I just I can't wait to see what's to come, because I just know, like, even telling everyone, like, at the wedding, oh, how old are you turning? They're like 25. They're like, oh my God, like, it's just such a good year, like, all this stuff. I'm like, geez, I didn't think about, like, 25 so much. But I'm like, yeah, I guess it is a good year. And even, like, reflecting on, like, my goals for this next year, I'm like, wow, a lot could happen in my 25th year. Like, I feel like this is a pivotal, you know, point in my life. So, yeah, I just feel like there's all good things coming. And I know there's going to be bumps in the road, but I'm even excited for those, because
because I wouldn't appreciate
challenges, without the little challenges, you don't learn that you can, and you don't actually prove to yourself that like you can get through hard things. So like any little bump in the road is honestly a blessing, because
and that's the reward is like, like what am I celebrating at the end of the day of graduation? The fact that I got through the challenges. I'm not celebrating the easy journey. It wouldn't be a celebration if it were easy.
Yeah.
So that's like for life. Like life wouldn't be a celebration if it were all easy. So remember that.
So we hope you guys enjoyed this little update for you, enjoyed our little words of wisdom, Isabelle's kind of viewpoint on graduation and everything. Before we end today, sister, why don't you leave one more piece of advice?
Yes, my piece of advice. Sorry, I like can't stop laughing every time that you do that, because I come up with these things so on the spot that I'm like, wait, what the fuck am I about to say? So my piece of advice for all of you graduates, for all of you, sorry, not for the graduates, for all of you, literally whoever you are listening to this podcast, this advice applies to all of you, because it will change your life. like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, share this podcast, comment, interact with us, follow our Instagram page, No Sugar Pod. Just help share the wisdom of no sugar, because that's what we are trying to do. We're trying to spread our positive message to better all of you. So technically you're bettering other people too if you share our podcast. So
Yes. Agreed.
be a helping hand. Create a better future for someone else.
Agreed, sister. Okay, well, with all that being said, we hope you have an amazing rest of your day, an amazing rest of your week, and we will see you next time.